If you were to visit White Sands National Park in southeastern New Mexico, you would be in the largest gypsum dune field on Earth. Gypsum is the mineral which forms the white sands. These dunes include billions of tons of gypsum, forming dunes which can be 30 feet in depth and 60 feet in height. How did all of this gypsum get here? During the late Paleozoic era, in periods such as the Carboniferous and Permian periods, the southwestern United States was underwater. But this was changing because the northern continents were fusing with the southern continents to form the supercontinent of Pangea. This was causing the uplift of the continental crust and included mountain building events known as orogenies. And as this occurred, the seabed was being elevated. And so the shallow sea became drier and drier. And the calcium carbonate limestone, which had been laid down by diverse organisms such as corals and others, was accumulating in this warm, shallow sea near the equator. All of the organic remains from sea life would form the petroleum and natural gas deposits which are common in this area. But bacteria could convert this organic material into energy and release hydrogen sulfide as a waste. Hydrogen sulfide can mix with oxygen to form sulfate and then sulfuric acid. And then these three components are critical. Lots of calcium carbonate from the marine organisms, lots of sulfuric acid being produced, and a shallow sea which is now drying, and all of its minerals are now forming solids on land. When minerals like this form, it is what is known as an evaporite. So the water evaporates and the minerals stay behind, then more water is added, it evaporates, more minerals are left behind. And the mineral which forms these white sands is gypsum. Now, if calcium ions were bound in a mineral with carbonate, it would form limestone. But gypsum forms when calcium and sulfate are interact to form a mineral. And so the sulfate from that sulfuric acid, which dissolved the calcium carbonate of the limestone so that calcium was released. Now all of this calcium and sulfate can form these gypsum deposits. These are evaporites left over from the evaporating sea. Later, the uplift of the continent takes what was the bottom of the ocean and the bottom of a shallow sea and elevates it. And then later erosion can cause the gypsum rocks to break down into sand. And so these sand dunes are relatively young, most of which are only a little over 10,000 years in age as the gypsum, which had been trapped in rocks, eroded.